Well, we know retirement planning can feel like navigating an unfamiliar road. Lots of turns along the way, a few roadblocks, occasional detours, but that's exactly why every week we consult Fresno's own Sean Mason, financial advisor and president of Mason Street Wealth Management. Sean, it is great to see you as always. How we doing?
It's good to be with you, Casey. I'm doing great. And to our listeners, I'm so happy you're tuning in today. We've got a lot of must-know information to talk about, so hang on and let's go.
That's right. We've got a lot of good stuff to get into today as we rev up for today's conversation. Remember, if you've ever wondered whether your retirement is truly on track, Sean and the team are here to help. 559-847-0039 is the number to reach us. And today we are offering an exclusive opportunity for our radio listeners. Our first 5 callers today will claim a spot on Sean's calendar for an introductory retirement planning assessment. This is a complimentary consultation. There's no obligation. There's no pressure, no commitment. This is just a chance for you to get direct, personalized answers to your big retirement questions that we know you have. Our lines are open now. Spots will fill quickly, so do not miss out. Go ahead and dial 559-847-0039 to reserve your spot. That number for you one more time. Go ahead, write it down. 559-847-0039. Or you can also learn more or reach out to us anytime at Mason Street Wealth Management.com. All right, time for some retirement talk, Sean. Let's get into the good stuff. If you are a listener to this show, then you have heard us talk about risk tolerance, but how do you define it? Well, here is Carrie Hannon with Yahoo Finance. Let's take a listen to what she had to say.
It's really how much you can stomach when the markets drop. Are you going to freak out? Are you going to panic? So this is sort of this moment where you have to sort of take a breath and really be honest with yourself. How can you handle the drops? And we see these all the time. And can you wait it out for it to come back? So if a 10% drop is going to make you crazy, then you're not very risk tolerant. But it's important to understand that because this is going to tell you how much you want to be in the stock market, invested in equities, or in cash and bonds, which is a little more steady, and you're not going to have these ups and downs.
So that's the definition. But Sean, I want to ask, how do you go about measuring a client's risk tolerance? Does this conversation happen during that first meeting? Talk to us about this.
Yeah. And, risk tolerance, it's a really unique element of the planning process. It seems so simple on the surface, but absolutely deserves a deep dive because it can affect quality of life for the whole family. We have to distinguish between emotions and pragmatism in the risk tolerance discussion. Both are equally as important, but how a person feels can be different from what is best for their situation. If the thought of market losses makes you feel uncomfortable, but then if you learn that a temporary loss won't affect the expected lifestyle, now maybe we will feel less anxious about those losses, and that understanding might change our feelings about our true risk tolerance, allowing for maybe a more growth-oriented portfolio. But then on the flip side of that, if we have a high risk tolerance and we're always looking to chase those higher rates of return, but then we learn that those above average returns are not necessary to serve our lifestyle goals, maybe we'll feel a little more comfortable with a smoother investment experience with less risk. And so establishing those practical risk tolerance is a key component of our comprehensive planning process. Stress testing the effects of possible adverse life events is critical. And Casey, it's worth knowing that this perspective is paramount when two spouses have a wide variation of risk tolerance. Walking through this process will help bring them closer to alignment.
Well, I know you know this, Sean, being in this business for a long time, that life kind of has a way of throwing us these curveballs, whether it be a good thing or a bad thing, whether it's a new job or you're growing your family or an unexpected inheritance or there's a change in the market. Things are always changing, and those curveballs can all shift how comfortable we feel with risk. So let me ask you this. How often are you sitting down with clients to revisit their risk tolerance? Are there, let's say, certain life changes or events that make you say, hey, guys, it's time we sit down and we talk about this again?
Yeah, Casey, what a great question, because risk tolerance needs to be assessed at least once a year. And for multiple reasons. Long bull markets can lull us into a false sense of security. Just as sure as a sharp decline can create fear, media rhetoric media rhetoric, our investment guru we meet at the office water cooler, they can all weigh on our emotions. So it's really important to take inventory and remember what's important. But there are life events that might cause pragmatic change in risk tolerance as well. Long-term health care, market declines, an early death. Mm-hmm. The loss of a spouse can cause income risk because of Social Security and pensions. Just the other day, Cheryl, she's 62. And her husband, Henry, passed at a young age of 68. She lost half of his pension and all of his Social Security. This was a significant change in her guaranteed income. And she wasn't willing to rely on markets to replace it. So we helped her use the life insurance proceeds to purchase what's called a private pension. And it replaced that guaranteed income she lost from Henry's passing. This is another example of why planning is so important. And I want to extend an invitation to our listeners. And you got to do it now, because for the first 5 callers, if you've saved over $500,000 for retirement, I invite you to give our team a call and we'll help you with a retirement planning assessment. It'll include those tax strategies, the income planning, the risk assessment we've been discussing, and we'll do all this complimentary. It's that important. So give us a call at 559-847-0039 or go to masonstreetwealthmanagement.com.
Well said, Sean. If you are looking for those answers to your retirement questions, this is the perfect chance for you. Connect with Sean, sit down with him. There's no pressure. There's no commitment, just genuine guidance that is tailored to your specific situation. But like he said, spots will fill up, so it's time to take action. We are standing by now to take your call. That number for you again is 559-847-0039. One more time for you, 559-847-0039. Or, of course, if you prefer online, you can always find us at masonstreetwealthmanagement.com. All right, Sean, I want to talk about Trump accounts for a minute here. These are included in the recently passed One Big Beautiful Bill, and they are new tax-advantaged investment accounts pre-funded with $1,000 of seed money for every child born from the beginning of 2025 through the end of 2028. So the government's idea here is to get all kids into savings and investing earlier in life. And then when they turn 18, they can use the money for qualified purposes like college or buying a new house. Now, while this might sound good on paper, I was reading on Yahoo Finance this week that some financial advisors are not a fan of Trump accounts. So I wanted to get your take today, Sean. Do you agree? Is there a better way to contribute money to the grandkids?
I really love this. You know, it gives people an incentive to start that road to savings for the new generation. But there is a lot of skepticism. The new Trump account can be a great opportunity to help save for the future of our younger generations. And yes, there's other savings options like the 529 plans that most of us are all aware of. They're neither better or worse. It's like any investment decision. We have to know what we're trying to accomplish. We have to be clear on the goal. So the 529 as well as the Trump account both come with their own set of rules. And it's important to note that this discussion is not meant to be exhaustive of all those rules and regulations. But the distinguishing factors in large part boil down to taxes and who can contribute. So the Trump account offers the contributor the tax benefit who usually is in a higher tax bracket, while the beneficiary, the child, will gain access to the money at age 18 and take on the tax liability when they're usually in a lower tax bracket. So the opposite is true with the 529. The contributor pays the tax on the contributions, allowing the beneficiary to access the money tax-free if it's used for qualified educational expenses. Unlike the 529, the Trump account gives the parent's employer a tax incentive to participate in the contributions as well. So that's a whole new environment that we've not experienced before. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how that's going to work out. There's a lot of other factors to consider. Sometimes a blend of these options might be a family's best strategy.
You know, I think this generation of grandparents are all very eager to help out the grandkids, but you know, being in this business, Sean, sometimes it's hard to know exactly where to start if you don't have all the info, especially with all the different options that they have out there. I think it's easy to feel a little overwhelmed. So For somebody listening who wants to set something up for their grandkids, what's the very first step that you'd recommend, Sean? Should they talk with the parents first, or is there a specific type of account they should look into right away? What's the play here?
Yeah. So for many families we work for, they're asking that same question, but it's not a one size fits all answer. Right. It really depends on their individual tax situation and the expectations for how those monies will eventually be used by the grandkids. If they use the money to start a business or buy a house, maybe the Trump account was a better strategy. Mm-hmm. I'd recommend to anyone considering a savings option for the children to research or get counsel on the rules of the 529 versus the Trump account. And again, you might find using both is your best option.
Well, and I think, you can never go wrong with taking the first step to start a conversation with a financial professional. You want to understand your own financial picture first, and you got to make sure your retirement is secure first. And thankfully, Sean and his team would love to help you create a plan that's going to align with your goals and what you want for your financial future. So we just want to remind you that those first 5 callers today can get on Sean's calendar for an introductory retirement planning assessment. 559-847-0039 is that number for you to dial. And I just want to remind you too, this is a complimentary consultation. It's a chance for you to get that second opinion that you've been looking for, but you got to act fast to secure your spot because they are limited. 559-847-0039 is that number for you again. I'll say it one more time, 559-847-0039. Or, of course, we're online at masonstreetwealthmanagement.com. Okay, Sean, don't know about you, but I definitely struggle to get those recommended 10,000 steps every day that they say you need to stay healthy. But luckily, I've got some good news on that front this week. A recent study found that as little as 7,000 daily steps can promote the same health benefits. So when I saw this news, I got to think of things in retirement perspective, Sean. So this reminded me of trying to calculate just how much savings you'll need to retire. Some people shoot for that magic number of, let's say, $1.8 million. Others think that you should have 70 to 80% of your annual salary. So wanted to talk to you about this, Sean. How do you figure this out for your clients, and what factors are you considering in this department?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And I don't know about the steps, but about 3 months ago, I committed to always taking the stairs, and I'm noticing a huge difference. So,
really? Have you stuck to it?
I've stuck to it, believe it or not. And
Sean, I'm so proud of you.
Well, thank you very much for that. When I hit that 3rd floor, I'm about ready to get off and get on the elevator, but I just keep plugging through, and it's made a difference.
Well, is there a story limit that you draw the line? Like if it's more than 3 stories, I'm taking the elevator, or are you just going for it no matter what?
You know what it is? It depends what I'm having to carry. If I'm having to carry a bunch of stuff, I'm not going up the stairs.
That's a big factor to consider. So, right. In this instance, lots of factors to consider, just like there's lots of factors to consider in retirement planning. So tell us about it, Sean.
So the number one question I get when people come into my office is, do I have enough to live that lifestyle I want and to not run out of money? But what's more important is, will the resources I have provide the income needed to live the lifestyle we're expecting? There's many factors to consider, of course. How long until retirement? What are the expenses? And those will vary by lifestyle. What's the tax situation? What are the income sources like pensions, annuities, and Social Security? There's also all the unknowns. What types of life events do we want to plan for, like long-term health care or early passing of a spouse? There's also legislative and economic risks that we need to account for, changes in the tax code, inflation, market volatility. I've seen many case studies with the family retiring with $1 million generated more spendable income through their lifetime than the family who retired with $1.5 million. All that was attributable to the tax, investment, income strategies used. This stuff is a must know if we want to have that peace of mind and certainty that our quality of life will be what we expected and that we worked so hard for all of those years.
It's funny, Sean, we hear all these big numbers tossed around for retirement, just like the 10,000 steps that we hear for staying healthy. But sometimes I think focusing on that huge goal can feel pretty overwhelming and make us freeze up a lot of the times before we even get started. So for somebody who's feeling a little lost or someone who's just beginning that savings journey, Sean, what would you say is a good 7,000 steps equivalent for them for retirement planning? Is there a simple, realistic habit or two that can help get them headed in the right direction, even if that big goal feels out of reach for them at this moment?
Yeah. So for people that are 10 years or further from retirement, accumulation growth needs to be the focus. They should be disciplined in contributing to those savings accounts, those retirement accounts, and reducing debt. That's got to be the focus. But once we get into that transition period, for those of us that are nearing or in retirement, comprehensive retirement planning is essential. You have to consider all of the elements. So I want to extend an invitation to our listeners, but you got to do this now. For the first 5 callers, if you've saved over $500,000 for the retirement, I invite you to give our team a call and we'll help you with your financial planning assessment. It's going to include those tax strategies, that income planning, the risk assessment that we've been discussing, and we'll do all this complimentary. It's that important. So give us a call, 559-847-0039, or go to masonstreetwealthmanagement.com.
Retirement can sometimes feel like running a marathon, not just trying to get those 10,000 steps. So I want you to take advantage of this offer. Sit down with Sean. Let him help you put a plan together that you are going to feel good about. There's no obligation. This is just a conversation. So that number for you again is 559-847-0039. One more time, 559-847-0039. Or if you prefer online, you can find us anytime at masonstreetwealthmanagement.com. That is going to do it for us this week here on Mason Street Retirement Insights. As always, thank you so much for joining us, and we will be back next week, same time, same place, with more great insight from Sean Mason, president of Mason Street Wealth Management. Take care.
Mason Street Wealth Management, MSWM, is a registered investment advisor, and the opinions expressed by MSWM on this show are their own and do not reflect the opinions of Motivate Investments. Registration is not an endorsement by securities regulators. Investment advisory services are offered through Motivate Investments, an SEC-registered investment advisory firm. All statements and opinions expressed are based upon information considered reliable, although it should not be relied upon as such. Any statements or opinions are subject to change without notice. The information presented is for educational purposes only and does not intend to make an offer or solicitation for the sale or purchase of any specific securities, investments, or investment strategies. Investments involve risk and, unless otherwise stated, are not guaranteed. Information expressed does not take into account your specific situation or objectives and is not intended as recommendations appropriate for any individual. Listeners are encouraged to seek advice from a qualified tax, legal, or investment advisor to determine whether any information presented may be suitable for their specific situation. Past performance is not indicative of future performance. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance products, including annuities, offered through Sean A. Mason, California, insurance license number 0B54860. The firms are separate entities. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company and are not offered by Motivate Investments. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties. MSWM is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if MSWM is licensed in your state, please call 559-892-0002.